Now, what do you want to know?
About my father.
About your father?
You know, you can start wherever you want.
Dr. William Drake.
Yes, right.
Well,
I knew that he lived in San Antonio.
now, I have known Dr. Drake since I was a child, about 7 or 8 years old,
Right.
in Hempstead, Texas.
Okay.
That's where I first knew him. He was living there with his wife, and Wilhelmina Drake, and they didn't live very far from us, and they were very close friends to my mother and father. Dr. Drake was a teacher. He left Hempstead and went to Meharry to study medicine.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
When he finished Meharry, he went to Wiley College as the college doctor. He and his wife were there. That was when I went to Wiley. Now, Mrs. Drake, I'm the goddaughter. They're my godparents.
Okay.
And they were in Wiley. He was the doctor for the college, and his wife was a matron.
Okay.
And there was a very fine music professor at Wiley, and Mrs. Drake wanted me to come to Wiley and study music under this professor. I was 12 years old. I was christened. They christened me as my godparents in Hempstead.
Right.
So I went to Wiley in 1906, the year 6 and 7, and I stayed with them. I left Wiley in May 1907, and their first and only child, was born June, 1 month after I left the college. They had this child. She was named Wilhelmina Drake. We all called her Baby Drake. And I came home, and she was born in June. Now, then Mrs. Drake died. She had a brain stroke in church, and she died. And Dr. Drake stayed single for a while, and then he married a second time, a woman named Mildred. She was a young woman, and they lived there. They lived in a 2-story home right up here on Martin Luther King, which was then Nebraska Street. The church is on the place where the home was. And they stayed here, and he practiced medicine here. Well, Dr. Drake has come to San Antonio to live. Now, as I said, the house is just a few blocks up, and it was a 10-room, 2-story house, beautifully furnished at that time of year.
Yeah.
And after a while, after Mrs. Drake died, he moved, but I'm a little ahead of myself. He married, I think I told you, this second wife, Mildred,
Right.
and they had this girl. Well, Mildred left him and went to California and carried the daughter with her. And after they left, Dr. Drake tore down the house that was here and moved it to Houston. Now, when he went to Houston, he married, I guess, your mother.
My mother.
I knew her quite well. She was a nurse at the Prairie View Hospital. That's when he married. I don't know where he met her, but anyhow,
I think he met her in
she was one of the nurses.
Tuskegee.
Huh?
Tuskegee in
Yeah.
Alabama.
And they married. Now, their first son, your brother, I guess you knew about him.
Yes.
Yes. And now, then, I don't know how many children they had because I lost track of them there. Dr. Drake died in Houston, but nobody let me know he died, so I did not know when he died. Nor did I go to the funeral.
Yes.
And that is the last that I heard of him. Now, is there any question you want to ask me?
Did you know you had another sister?
Yeah. Did you know about that?
Huh?
Well, no. I know Wilhelmina was. Wilhelmina, how many times was he married?
Wilhelmina.
3 times. I know Wilhelmina.
You know Wilhelmina?
Yes.
You know she left California and went to New York.
Right. And then she went back to California.
She went back where?
To California.
Yeah.
And that's where she passed away.
Do you know
in
what
California.
she was doing
Yeah.
before she went
Now,
back to
Mrs.
California?
Stevenson knows Wilhelmina well, and
You know her.
From New York.
Yeah, well, she was in New York and working
In the investment
She
field.
was the vice president of an investment company.
Well, before that, she was in social work as a counselor at Brooklyn College. And
That's
before that, she was doing social work, I guess, for the city of New York.
well, you probably know more about it than I
But
do.
when
I know a lot
Yeah.
about her. She's a fine woman. She got
Yeah.
me from chemistry into securities.
Right. Yeah.
And they started a company called Special Markets under the direction of Mr. Philip Jenkins. And it existed for 13 years.
And Wilhelmina was the vice
That's
president.
right.
When I was 13 years old when my father passed in 1948.
And it was
Yeah.
located
Well, this
at
is
90
after then.
Yeah, that's after.
This company was located at 92 Liberty Street. And it was done in terms of its success.
That's down in Wall Street
That's
area.
Wall Street.
Yeah, right.
But it did so well because we had about 13 Negroes that worked part-time. I worked part-time, so that was a chemist at Piccadilly Arsenal. That's the United States Ordnance Division in Dover, New Jersey.
after I was christened, when I was 9 years old, Dr. Drake was not a hint that he was in my Harry at that time. But someone stood by him when he and his wife became my godparents. Now, I came out here after Mrs. Drake died, and he had married Mildred.
No,
And
I'm not interrupting you now.
Huh?
You're saying Mildred. Now,
Mildred was the second wife.
okay, is that Wilhelmina's mother?
No.
Oh, okay,
no.
all right. Now I get you. Okay.
Wilhelmina was still staying here with Dr. Drake. She was still with us.
Oh, okay, all
when
right.
he married this second.
Okay,
Why?
now, all right.
Was
And,
Wilhelmina around 9, 10 years
Huh?
old? How old was Wilhelmina when Miss Drake died?
I don't.
Well, Wilhelmina was...
I think she was 13. I think that's correct. And I came out here and stayed with her. We all called her Baby Drake. And
Right.
I stayed out here with her. And she said to me one night that Daddy was very much worried. And I said, what is it? She said, he walks the floor all night. And I can't see. She was 13 then. He was married to this second wife. And why she told me that the house was haunted, that her mother's spirit came back to that house, and that was why her father walked the hall
He couldn't speak.
all night because his ghost was there. And the second wife could not stand the noise that was there at the house, and that's why she left him, because figured that house was haunted, and she couldn't stay there.
They had a little girl. They had a little girl.
Yes, they had
Second
a,
wife?
Did Mildred have a child?
no, they didn't have a child.
Oh, no children.
Just Wilhelmina was the only one. So I don't know whether Dr. Drake consented for Mildred to take the child or whether the child wanted to go with Mildred. But anyhow, she took the child.
Well, when did she go to Arkansas?
Huh?
When did baby go to Arkansas?
I don't remember the
She
year,
went
but
to
she
visit-
went with Mildred.
But she went to Arkansas with Mrs. Drake's people at some time. I don't know
I don't
when.
know that time.
Yeah, well, it was sometime or other
No,
the baby was in
I don't
Arkansas with
recall.
her mother's
But
people.
I know that she left her father at that time.
Wilhelmina went with
That
Mildred.
is when
That's what she said. I don't know.
tore the house down
Uh-huh.
and moved it to Houston and built her house where your mama lived.
Okay.
I might say that Wilhelmina was
Now,
a very-
any question you want to ask me, I don't know.
Okay. Well, you basically answered, because I didn't know whether, I knew he was teaching.
I don't understand your voice.
I say I knew he was, Dr. Drake was teaching,
all of the sales
and I also
people
knew that he
worked
was a
in special
doctor.
markets.
but I didn't know whether he was doing that at the same time.
Seminars.
He was a teacher when he was in Hempstead.
Well, okay.
That's he went from Hempstead to Meharry.
To Meharry.
He
Okay.
came from Meharry to Wiley.
What year was that?
Many neighborhoods.
I don't know what year they came, but I know they was very shortly because I was there in 1907. So they were in Wiley before
Okay.
1907. So I don't remember exactly when they went there. But I know he went to Wiley as the college doctor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he didn't talk too much about himself at all.
No.
So I knew very little about,
And you were young.
and I was young, and I knew very little about his life before my mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. All I knew was his wife's name was Bessie. He must have called her Bessie. Or was that her name, Bessie?
Was Miss Drake's name
Miss
Bessie?
Drake's name.
Bessie. Drake, we were kids, and while Dr. Drake was in Meharry, Mama used to let us go over there and stay with, two of us, stay with Miss Drake at night, because she was there by herself while Dr. was in Meharry.
All right. Okay. Do you have any questions?
There was a
No, I said there's one incident that I remember while I was staying there, when they were talking about the ghost. The ghost was a cat. And in the back hall was a telephone. And there was a chair sitting right under the telephone. And one day, I started to use the telephone. And this big cat was in the chair, lying down in the chair. And I knew they did not have a cat. But I said to myself, what is this cat doing here in this house? So I took the back of the chair like this and turned him out on the floor. And when I looked, the cat was right back in the chair. All right, that was one incident. Now, another incident with cat, baby was upstairs in the bathroom, and I was down on the first floor there. And baby said, honey, I'm sweeping this cat out of here. He's coming down the stairs. Be sure and look for him. She said, here he comes. And she was supposed to sweep the cat down the stairs. But I stood right there in the cat. I never saw anything. But she's supposed to sweep that cat. Now, I know that experience I had. And baby told me that what the ghost was a big cat. And he raced up and down the hall and hit him. And that was what kept Dr. Drake walking the floor at night and couldn't sleep because this cat.
He may have had a hole in that he went in.
Now that actually happened. I know that because I saw that myself. So whatever else was there, I don't know. But I do know that.
Were you single then or had you married?
Huh?
Were you single then or had you married?
Married to Hellman.
This is when Uncle Harmon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did Uncle Harmon ever see the cat?
Huh?
Did Uncle?
Yeah, yeah.
He saw the cat too.
Now, I don't know what other might have happened, but that is the thing that drove Mildred from that house away. She was afraid.
Sounds like that cat was driving him crazy.
So I guess that's why he tore the house down and moved it to Houston, I suppose. So he had a good practice here. There was no reason for him to, leave unless something strange happened.
Yeah. When he tore down the house, he built an apartment next door. He built it and tore the house down in San Antonio, moved it to Houston,
Vance Jackson?
and built the apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about Wilhelmina?
Yeah.
What was it, maybe you already said it, that made her go back to California after New York? She
was
retired
having-
or?
She was having trouble with her lungs because she was.
The health reasons.
That's it,
Okay,
for
for health
reasons.
reasons, okay.
We tried to talk her into stopping smoking, but she wouldn't. And I never smoked in my life, but I could see the effects on her.
Right.
She had this cough.
Right,
Mhm.
persistent cough. What, do you know what year, do you remember what year she went back to California?
No.
She hadn't been there too long before she died.
Oh, okay, so it's the 70s probably.
Probably in the 70s.
Because she died in 75. We went to the funeral, I remember
Oh, you
that.
did?
But I never knew her before that.
She was
We buried her.
Oh, you did? She was a marvelous lady.
Now, do you remember Mama being in Houston at Wilhelmina's funeral?
Another
At
discipline.
baby's funeral.
Which was security.
Yeah,
We didn't know him.
And not only did she
When baby
introduce me
died?
to her, I was a top salesman.
No,
Just 25
but I thought
Negroes.
mother remembered it.
I was selling
One
at her.
there for